Hi, I'm Jay with User Friendly Paintball, and today we're reviewing the Tippmann Cronus paintball gun. The score up front, hit or miss on this one. I'd say really this Tippmann Cronus came out of nowhere and gogged me totally. So definitely worth a try. Even though it's not really in my game bag, I'd consider this a worthy backup gun. Why did I rate it this way? Stick around and I'll tell you. So the purpose of user-friendly paintball is to review gear that's mainly for people who are new to the sport of paintball, or for those who are looking to save some money. So I try to look at gear that's more within the range of most players. The Tippmann Cronus paintball gun is a good entry-level paintball marker for the price that you're paying. Okay, a little background on the Tippmann Cronus. The history of it, it came out in December of 2013 according to my research. Tippmann themselves, they've been on the scene for a long time with paintball. Have some really legendary guns under their belt. And the Tippmann Cronus, its lineage comes directly from the Tippmann Model 98 and the 98 Custom, which is a very solid, reliable paintball gun. So Tippmann Cronus has come typically with accents in green or tan with black underlay. This example here is an all black. This is the basic Tippmann Cronus model. The tactical version has the barrel shroud, the sight rails, the inbuilt buttstock. Now Tippmann tends to make guns that are more mil-sim styling. They all use basically the same inline blowback system. Okay, as for what's in the box when you first open this, you're going to get the barrel, the paintball marker, the foregrip. Then it also comes with a barrel cover, basic parts kit, and instruction manual. So the price of this gun at time of video is running about $130 US, depending on where you get it from. You can get them refurbished for a little cheaper. I've seen as low as $99, or of course there's the buy, sell, trade websites, or eBay, where you can get a deal. One nice thing about Cronus's and Tippmann's in general is it is my personal experience that generally what you're getting, even if it's used and a little beat up, is usually pretty solid. So there's a little less worry than you have with the higher end pneumatic or electronic guns that you may be getting something that's broken if you're buying used. But again, if you want reliable, buy it new from the manufacturer or from a reliable vendor, because these are great guns. Okay, on the Tippmann Cronus, you've got a 9-inch barrel that comes from the factory. The threading on it is A5 style. So the thing about this A5 threading is that is one thing that makes this differ from the Model 98, which it more closely resembles. The 98 had its own proprietary threading with quite a bit thicker threads on the barrel than this A5 threading. As for the gun's barrel's porting, I'd say it's adequate. I mean, what you get for this barrel is really pretty average for what you get for an entry-level paintball marker. So it's got a lot of rails on it. You've got the top rail, side, and you've also got the under rail where the foregrip can attach to. It's an adjustable foregrip. By turning this screw here, you can adjust it to move in and out as needed. Depends on where you prefer to grip the gun at. Personally, I didn't have any problems with the foregrip on this gun for comfort. It felt really good. The nice thing, like I said, this is the basic model that you can get from the factory. The more advanced tactical version that they sell comes with the sight mounts, but you can put your own sight mounts on because it does have this Picatinny Weaver rail, and you can put flashlights, various accessories. Cap back here covers up where the stock would mount, and it's a pretty common stock. No issues there if you want to go a little more mil-sim. Plus, some people would say that it's more comfortable to play that way. Personally, I like the gun a little tighter, a little less stuff in the way, so you can move quicker and not get hung up on things. But to each his own. Let's look at the overall construction of this paintball gun. Well, it's predominantly plastic. There is some rubbery grip here on the grip frame, but overall you're looking at some pretty durable composite plastic. This also differs quite a bit from the Tippmann 98, in that the Tippmann 98 used an all-metal receiver, and in my opinion was a bit more durable. I guess I just have a bit of a bias against plastic. I shouldn't. My primary gun uses nylon polymer, but when you get a gun that's metal, you tend to think this is going to last a little longer. And I know that's one thing about Tippmann 98s is even 20 years on, if the internals are good, that's a good solid gun. It's pretty hard to break them. I don't have a Tippmann 98 right here handy to compare, but it seems to me from experience teching these sort of guns that the 98's internals were a little more robust, a little more metal in their parts and construction versus this, which uses a little more plastic in the internals as well in order to lighten up the gun and probably to save them a bit of money as the manufacturing process. So that reliance on plastic is, in my opinion, one of the downfalls of this gun. Though I will say it does definitely make it lighter, and I think it has a little less kick than a 98 as well. You know, the comfort of this gun while it was being shot was really good. It fits well to you. I liked the angle on the ASA. My 48 3000 aluminum tank fit really good in here. And the nice thing, and a lot of people say, oh, the feed neck has got to be straight up and down. Tippmanns have traditionally had the off-center feed neck, and personally, I have always preferred this. That's personal bias on my part, but I like the side-mounted feed neck, the angled feed neck, because you get that straight down the barrel sight picture. It just feels more comfortable to be able to see directly down the barrel at what you're shooting at versus looking through the feed neck with your eyes on either side, as you should with a gun with a center mount feed neck. The weight on this gun, from what I read, it's just under 4 pounds, and it doesn't feel it. It's lightweight, well balanced. I mean, it's not as light as something, say, as a Kingman Spider, but it's definitely not as heavy as some of the heavier Tippmann guns, such as the Model 98, as I mentioned. Back to that foregrip, it's also plastic. I feel like that might be a point of breakage in the future sometime. Again, it's very durable plastic, but if you were running and gunning and you happen to slide in, catch that foregrip on something, hit a rock, or that might snap. So it's another thing that would worry me on the construction of this gun. But again, this is really over manufactured in a lot of ways. I think it would take a lot to break it. This gun is also a little bigger than I thought it would be. The Tippmann Cronus is more specifically for woods ball players. I don't know as you'd call this a real speedball gun. It is an open bolt, inline blowback paintball gun, which has been Tippmann's drive system for years and years. I guess they've decided that if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Now, it does seem to be a little bit on the louder side, this gun. I think if you were to switch out the barrel, you might see a slight increase in accuracy and probably a bit quieter for the gun itself. But this inline blowback, that is another thing about them, is they're not the quietest system. You've got multiple springs, a lot of pressure moving around, and so if you're trying to sneak up on somebody, this is probably not the best gun to do it with. Air efficiency, in my opinion, wasn't bad with this gun. I believe that the Spider, the Kingman Spider, does have a little bit better air efficiency, but I was surprised at how much paint I was able to shoot with this gun on a full tank. So the adjustment on these guns is done through a hole in the side of the receiver here. You put in an Allen wrench tool, I believe it's 3/16, and adjust a set screw. You can adjust that in and out to modify the feet per second of your gun. One other major change between this and a Tippmann 98, and with a lot of Tippmann's modern guns these days, is the inclusion of a pressure line through the grip frame. So in a 98, you've got the pressure line coming from the ASA down here and coming up into the receiver here. So you've got this extra braided line that runs between your grip and the middle of the gun. Tippmann has pretty much done away with that in most of their modern paintball guns. I believe the A5 still uses it, and the Tippmann 98, of course. But on these newer guns, they've routed that airline through the grip frame and up through the receiver right into the gun. Also, because of that air through grip frame, the grip frame has been moved a little bit further forward on the gun, which when I first picked this up, I was a little concerned that that would make the gun a little less balanced, but actually I thought the balance on it was really good. It does use the single trigger, so you're not going to get any two-finger trigger fanning going on. But the single trigger, it's crisp and it's got a good pull to it. I didn't have any issues with it myself. There's an advantage and a disadvantage to this feed neck, in my opinion. On the one hand, it's plastic. So again, if you run into something pretty hard, you may end up snapping the plastic here. I see that as being a weak point on this gun. But on the other hand, it's molded directly onto the gun's receiver. So the old Tippmann 98 and I remember the BT4, they both had detachable feed necks. The BT4 mounted to the rail on the top, and the Tippmann 98 had a clip-in system that went with the front sight of the gun. That was actually the switch that unlocked the feed neck. Be sure to pair the Tippmann Cronus with a decent, I'd say a splitter type hopper. The good thing about this gun is it does have some recoil to it, so the hopper is going to get agitated while you're shooting and while you're moving. And so unlike a smoother gun that you may have to do the gun shake to get the paintballs to load on a gravity-fed splitter type hopper, this one, I had no issues with it. Every time I fired, the paintball was ready to go. So let's talk balls per second on this paintball gun. I've read that it can shoot anywhere between 7 and 11 balls per second. From my personal experience, and I don't tend to shoot a gun as fast as maybe some people do, it did keep up as fast as I could shoot it. As many times as I pulled the trigger, it would fire a paintball. But then I wasn't, as I said, I wasn't fanning the trigger. For a mechanized paintball gun, I can tell you it's definitely not the fastest one out there. Now, I didn't have any bolt chops when I was using this gun, but I did have one barrel break. Out of several outings, I'd say that's not too bad. It might have even been the paint I was using. So the barrel itself is not high end. It's possible the round might have bounced around in it. But, you know, for what it is, I'd say the barrel on the Tippmann Cronus is most suitable. And that's one nice thing about Tippmanns is they tend to be low maintenance. If you oil it and you keep it clean, it should perform for you for years and years. I personally have referred to the Tippmann inline blowback system as the AK-47 of the paintball world. You drag it through the mud, you beat on it. With the older guns that had metal bodies, you could hammer a nail in with the stupid thing. And you could keep playing and that gun would be reliable. This is especially good for players who are new to paintball, don't really feel comfortable maintaining their guns, and they want to make sure that they have something that's not going to be a lot of maintenance for them. However, there is a catch to the Tippmann Cronus, which again shares the legacy of the old Tippmann 98, and that is that this gun is a clamshell design. If you need to get to the internals of this gun for any reason, you've got a lot of parts to take off. Once you do take it apart, there are videos online that will tell you how to do this, so I'm not going to cover it, but once you do take it apart, you want to be very careful that you don't pull it apart too quickly, because there are some little pieces in here and some couple of little springs that if they go flying, good luck finding them. And internal maintenance of a Tippmann inline blowback gun, it's not the easiest thing to do, in my opinion. I'd say that a Kingman Spider is a bit more user-friendly in the maintenance side of things if you're looking for something that's easy to maintain. But the good thing about the Cronus and other inline Tippmann blowbacks is that they really usually don't need much maintenance. If you need to get into the internals, something bad happened. So how did it perform on the field? This gun, as I've alluded to, was a lot of fun. I went into it a little bit jaded, as I've used a couple of Tippmann 98s and a Pro Carbine in my day. I kind of expected it to be ka-tunk, 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 you know, that blowback kick of those older inline Tippmann guns. And I figured it'd be a bit unwieldy. But you know, honestly, the gun performed really well. I really enjoyed my time using it while I was out doing the review process with it. And to be honest, there's part of me that wants to use this gun as my backup, especially when I have people go with me. I can hand them this Tippmann Cronus and say, hey, this thing will do for you. Okay, station break. Real quick, this channel is not sponsored by any company, team, or organization. So what you're getting from me is based on the years of experience I've had and the lessons that I've learned playing paintball. When I buy a piece of paintball gear, I do so almost always with an eye to how much money I can save, how much bang I'm getting for my buck. For years, I've played paintball on a budget, and so getting the best deal for my gear is really important to me. And I want to pass on any help that I can to those who are new to the sport, who are just coming up, or for those who've been in the sport a long time and maybe just want to get a good perspective, a broad perspective on the things that they're contemplating buying for the sport. If you want to support this channel, then do the like, subscribe, notify thing, and I do thank you. There are other ways to help out as mentioned in the comments below, and hey, I appreciate you watching. So, real quick, why don't I use a Tippmann Cronus as my primary paintball gun? Well, it does have more kick than my main paintball gun. Now, as a confession, I do use a Planet Eclipse EMEC as my primary paintball gun. I prefer mechanical, and in my opinion, that's a really good mechanical paintball gun. The Cronus is not as smooth as the EMEC. That goes without saying. But for what you get in the Cronus, if I was entry level, this is what I think I'd buy and use. It's smoother to shoot, in my opinion, than a Spider, and I think it's also quieter than a Spider from my experience. Another reason I'm not keen to it is, as I mentioned, there's a lot of plastic. You look at this thing, you think, man, I'm going to slide, I'm going to dive, and this thing's going to break. Honestly, after playing with it a bit, it does seem a little more durable and rugged than my first impressions were, but I still worry a little bit. You know, I still feel like this gun could break on me, and that does kind of weigh against it, in my opinion. And maintenance on it, if I had to maintain this thing, if I had to take it apart, I don't really think that would be a lot of fun. Honestly, the reason I don't use this paintball gun is because I own a better paintball gun. If I didn't own a better paintball gun, if I didn't regularly use a better paintball gun, I'd seriously consider using it. It pleasantly surprised me, and I'm seriously tempted to hang on to it and use it as my backup loaner gun, as I mentioned. Heck, I didn't even have a bad time playing with it myself while I was testing it out. It didn't feel like a chore to use for testing, and I went out and I had a really good time. The gun didn't seriously hamper my play at all, so I'd say this one is definitely recommended. Even though I'm not using it myself, I wouldn't hesitate to take one out and play a quick pickup match for fun. And you know, it's a good, fun paintball gun for what you pay for and for what you get. Here's a quick roundup of the goods, followed by the bads, from my point of view. Now you know. Thanks everybody for watching this video. Again, like, follow, subscribe. Do good to others. Make sure the animals have water. Help out around the house. And hey, go play paintball. Oh, maybe I should do one of those voiceover reviews. In a time when paintball was being played. The tactical version has the barrel shroud, the sight, which before that was used on the Pro Carbine and some of the other When I looked at this gun when it came out of the box, I thought, man, that seems a little bigger than it should have been. That's what she said. Just trying to run without a script this early in the morning hurts my brain.